So first thing we need to get out of the way is what money is. You think, well, that's kind of obvious, isn't it? And it is obvious. You just look in your wallet, there's money, end of story. That's what money is. But as soon as you start thinking about it, it starts to get more complicated. Here's a common misconception, that real money is gold. That's what real money is. Everything else is not really money. This is not true. Money in this form, that's certainly a form of money, say gold coins, that's a form of money, no doubt about it. It's what we call commodity money. That is, you take a commodity or a thing that people might buy and sell, and you turn that thing into money. But as soon as we realise this is an example of commodity money, we immediately realise that gold in and of itself is not the real money. Why? Because there's been lots of forms of commodity money. The fact that we think of gold as real money is simply part of the cultural heritage that we happen to have received. And if you travel the world and go to other places, either now or historically, you'll discover, the experience of my culture actually is not universal. So, pure metals, gold, definitely a form of money. But if we went way back in time to, I don't know, say the 700s to Northern Europe, and we went back and visited the Vikings, and we delivered to them gold coins, what would they say? Why are you trying to give me this garbage? This is worth nothing. We don't care about gold. Gold is rubbish to us. We're not interested in this. It's useless. Look how soft and pathetic it is. You say, but it's nice and pretty. It's yellow. And I don't like yellow. Who cares about yellow? What did they think was great? There was a pure metal that they regarded as money, and that was silver. Silver for them was the big thing. Gold, garbage. Silver, yes. That's money for them. But later on, you had coins, for example, that weren't made out of pure metal at all. They were made out of alloys. That is, the combining of different metals together, mixing them together to make an alloy coin. We can thank the Turks for that. They came up with alloyed coins. Corn. Corn is a very ancient form of money. Corn is the first currency of modern-day Iraq. So many, many, many moons ago, in Mesopotamian society between the Tigris and the Euphrates River, the form of money was corn, grains of corn. And there would be certain weights or measures of corn, and that would be worth a certain amount for other things. From the language of that time in that place, you get the word shekel, which is now, a la Merchant of Venice, it's the currency of Israel, called the shekel. But that was originally an Iraqi, or what we now call Iraqi term, Mesopotamian term, for a certain quantity of corn. That was money. Wool is money in some places. If you go to the Arabian deserts where the Bedouins live, you can find people who don't use the Saudi Arabian dollar as money. They use wool from goats. That's their money. Everything is measured in terms of certain quantities of wool. Shells, Southeast Asian, Polynesian societies use shells as money. Leather has been used as money, strips of leather. That was money. Paper was money. So today we think of Europeans came up with paper money, but it goes back to a form of paper money was used in between the Middle East and Europe. Effectively what today we would call checks, pieces of paper which you could carry around. So you write out, someone writes out, you can get $100 from my bank account in Europe. So you can take your piece of paper in the Middle East and you can carry that piece of paper to a bank in Europe and they will give you money for it. But you could, on the way, you could sell that or exchange that piece of paper for something else, which effectively turns it into money. But before that, the Chinese came up with paper money as basically a different version of that. This was token money. That is, instead of carrying around, they used to have coins with holes in them, and you'd put string through the coins, and you'd hike around coins, but obviously if you became fabulously wealthy as a merchant, it just becomes impractical to carry around giant loads of coins. So instead of doing that, instead of carrying around the giant loads of coins, instead you would carry around a token of that giant mound of coins. A token, a piece of paper, which says, I own blah, blah, blah amount of coins. And you could exchange that piece of paper for goods and services. This was paper money. Okay? So there are lots of different forms of money. Incidentally, that whole system was destroyed with the invasion of the Mongols, and after that, it became people stopped trusting that this piece of paper represented anything, because you never know, because maybe the Mongols had come along and completely decimated your city, and your money, you don't have that money anymore, and that token is not really a token of anything. So people lost trust in the pieces of paper, and so that paper money system disappeared. It's also, so historically we know that real money isn't gold. It can be lots of things. And it's also conceptually false, because normally we'd say, well, money has to be backed by gold, right? Because gold is the thing that has real value. And then you can ask, well, try asking this question. Well, what backs gold? What's behind the gold? What gives the gold its value? What makes gold so great? If that's the thing that has real value, why? Why does it have real value? Is there something special about gold that's different to other things here? Not really. In fact, it's a bit crappier than a lot of the other things here. That's why the Turks came up with the alloys, because gold coins are very flexible, they're very malleable, and you can shave the edges off them, melt down the shaved edges and create another coin for yourself. This was called clipping. So the Turks, to get around this, made this alloy which was very, very hard, and so you couldn't scrape off the edges off it and make a new coin. Anyway, so but what backs gold? Here's what backs gold. I'll save you some time. Nothing except your belief in gold. Your belief that gold is valuable is what makes it valuable. And the proof of that is the Vikings. The Vikings just didn't think gold was valuable. If you took gold to the Vikings, you could buy nothing from them with it. It was worth nothing in exchanging with the Vikings. Nothing backs it except people believe it's valuable. So, when it comes down to it, money is literally anything that is widely recognized as a unit of account or a measure of value. So if we used wool, you could say 1 kilo of wool is worth 2 kilos of meat, is worth 1 litre of water, is worth 3 textbooks, or whatever. You can use the wool, the 1 kilo of wool, as your unit of measure, of the value of something. It's also a means of exchange. So you can swap it for anything. You can use it to buy anything. Well, not anything, but within limits. You can use it to buy lots of different things. So it's a means of exchanging goods. And it's also a store of value. hopefully. So if you have money, if you have lots of money, you can have your wealth stored in the form of money. Now remember, from the perspective of economists and political economists way back when, money itself is not really wealth. Wealth is stuff. But we can think of money as a store of wealth in the sense that if you store up, you gather together a whole bunch of money, assuming those other two conditions are met, you can easily transform that money into stuff. So we can think of it as a way of storing wealth easily. What's key to this, anything you use to do this, is that people have to believe it and they have to trust it. That's the key. Nothing functions as money unless it is believed and trusted. You believe and you trust that it is a unit of account of value, that it's a means of exchanging, and that it's a store of value. If you don't believe those things, whatever you have is not money anymore. It ceases to be money. This is what we can call, it's the Santa Claus effect or the Tinkerbell effect. That is, it exists if you believe it. It exists if you believe it. If you stop believing it, it doesn't exist anymore. Okay? Just as a little warning and as an illustration, if you go overseas, there are some countries, so for example, if you go to Indonesia, and I think this is still true, make sure you take crisp, new banknotes to exchange for the currency. Make sure they're crisp and new. If they're tattered, and absolutely if they have a rip in them, they will, the people there will say, that's not money. And you can say, yes, it is money, it's just got a little rip in it. It's absolutely fine, it's money. And they will say, no, it's not money, I don't believe it's money. And at that point you realise, all I'm holding now is a piece of plastic. It has no value anymore because no one believes me that it's money. As soon as you stop believing it's money, it just becomes a little piece of plastic. You can't exchange it for anything. It's not a unit of account anymore, just a piece of plastic. You can't exchange it for anything anymore. It has no value anymore. It represents no wealth anymore. Today in Australia, what's money? Money is, we've got two types of money. We've got our token currency, so that's plastic and alloyed tokens, that's notes and coins, that are sanctioned by the government. And we've got another kind of token, which is an electronic token. A token is the symbol. It's an electronic token. A token is the thing that has no value in itself. It's not a commodity. It has no value by itself. And electronic tokens of your deposits in banks. So when you go and look on how much money you've got in the bank at the ATM, you know what the money is? The actual readout on the screen, that's the money. Right? That's not representing some notes and coins which are held in a vault somewhere. There's no notes and coins in a vault somewhere. There's nothing somewhere. The money itself is the record, the electronic record, kept in a computer bank somewhere. That's the money. And as long as you believe that, and everyone else believes that, it is money. And of course, there's electronic tokens in deposits in non-banks, such as building societies and credit unions and so on. All of this is what we call fiat money, because it's backed by nothing. It's not backed by a commodity. It's not backed by the value of something else. It's backed by a belief in the authority of the Commonwealth Government of Australia and the Reserve Bank of Australia. When they issue money, Why do you accept that it's money? Because you believe that the government's not lying to you, and that's money. Because you accept the authority of the Commonwealth government. If some crazy person on the street gets a little piece of paper and draws up their own money and hands it to you, you're going to accept that as money? No. It has no authority. That would be fiat money too. Would you accept that? No, because you don't believe in the authority of that person. It's not worth anything to you. But if the government issues the money, okay, now I believe. What's the composition of money in Australia now? Well, in 2012. So we've got our categories of currency, that is notes and coins, current bank deposits, other bank deposits. So current bank deposits where you can go to the kind of bank account you probably have right now, where you can go and just withdraw stuff from your bank account. But there's other kinds of deposits you could have. You could have a timed deposit. That is, you put the money in the bank and you have to leave it there for 6 months and then you can get it out again, for example. So there's those kinds of deposits as well. That's money too. And then there's the non-bank financial institution net borrowing. That's money as well. So how much are these? So there's $52 billion worth of currency floating around in the economy, notes and coins. But most of the money is not in the form of notes and coins. Most of the money is in electronic form. It has no physical form. Most of the money is, we've got current bank deposits, $216 billion worth, and then we've got other kinds of bank deposits. They're held large, they're usually held by wealthy households and by large institutions, businesses. So those other bank deposits are, that's $964 billion worth. And then we've got the net borrowing of the non-bank financial institutions, that's $12 billion. So, economists categorise these things, they give them labels. So if we add up these two, they give us something called M1. And M1 just means that. It just means currency plus current bank deposits. So that's $268 billion worth of M1. Then we've got M3, which is currency, current bank deposits, and other bank deposits. That's $1.5 trillion worth of money. And then we've got broad money, which is all of them.